St. Peter asks the weirdest question, the strangest and most unintelligible kind of question in all of this. He could have asked anything else, but instead he asks, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. We got to set the scene first, though. Let's, because they're good words to listen to, but this particular gospel leaves gaps for your imagination to fill in. And once you do, it's a lot richer, it's a lot better. So they've just fed the 5,000. Jesus sends them in the boat. But then it says, when it was evening, the boat was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. Okay, so it's already started. What time's evening? 6 p.m., something like that. When Jesus comes to them, it's the fourth watch of the night. So that's like 3 a.m. So that's like 9 hours. They have made little progress in the water. The storm has tossed the boat back and forth. The wind is gusting and everything. So you can imagine, I don't know if you've done anything for 9 hours straight and made zero progress on it, but especially when you're terrified for your life and it doesn't seem to be getting better, and it's dark and you're on a large body of water and you don't even know which way you're pointing. When Jesus walks out on the water toward them, at first his coming is a cause of greater terror for them. Because you can think of this, I don't know how you normally picture it, like, oh, maybe it's like a little bit dim or something. If the storm is how it is, then there's no sunshine, there's no moonlight even. The clouds have blocked everything out, and it's all chaos and darkness. And so maybe in a flash of lightning, maybe in some sort of glint off a wave, they see a shape, they see a figure. And all it gives them is greater terror, and it says they cried out in fear. And this is like, to cry out in fear, you gotta be pretty far gone, you know? These guys, a lot of these guys, they're fishermen. They spend a lot of time on the water. And so for them to get to this point, like their heart's pounding, they're not thinking clearly, they're wondering if they're seeing things, and they're totally overcome, just panicked. I don't know if you've ever heard like a group of men cry out in fear. It's like, it's a kind of blood-curdling sound. And so they say, it is a ghost. But Jesus, right away, speaks to them then. Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. I think even when he begins speaking, it's a cause for greater fear. Because if you see a strange shape in the dark, that's one thing. You see that it's coming towards you with some purpose, that's another. And then when it addresses you, it doesn't really matter what it's saying or what it sounds like. It's terrifying because now it has engaged you in some way. And so nobody can speak except St. Peter, who says, like, hoping and open to the idea that it is the Lord, but not quite sure. He doesn't say, whoever you are. He says, Lord, but then he follows it with if it is you. And then we come to this question. And I just wanted to give the scene a little bit more because it gives more significance to, like, why does he say this right here? He could have said a million other things. Lord, if it is you, calm the storm. Lord, if it is you, show us yourself so that we know it. Lord, if it is you, come to us and let us see you. But he says this very strange thing that no one would think of. Command me to come to you on the water. It's like this is like way down on the list of impossible things to say. So why does St. Peter ask for this? What we know about St. Peter is that anytime that he's away from the Lord, as soon as he finds out where he is, like nothing will stand in his way. So you remember when the news of the resurrection comes around, St. Peter and St. John, they just sprint to the tomb. No more questions, no more talk. We just need to get there. And Peter runs as quickly as he can. Not as fast as St. John, but as quickly as he can. When, a few chapters later in the Gospel of John, when Jesus calls out to them from the shore and says, "Children, have you caught anything?" And they say, "No." And then St. John says, "It is the Lord." St. Peter, foolishly, eagerly, just jumps into the water and thrashes and swims to the shore. When St. Peter is away from Jesus, because he loves him, as soon as he finds out where he is, he will do anything to go and be with him. So I think it's this, in this moment, like there's a chance that that is Jesus, but I can't get to him. So his heart leaps out in front of him and asks for something foolish and impossible. "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And Jesus says, loving Peter, "Come." Now this is the most incredible thing, actually. Like, amazing things are happening. Jesus is walking on water, but that's not so incredible because Jesus is God. And Peter walks on water, but that's not so incredible because God does this. And when Peter is saved from drowning, that's not so incredible because Jesus is there to save him. But what is astounding is that Peter gets out of the boat. Nobody else does this. There's nothing forcing Peter to do this. There's nothing that like enables him or like gives him some sort of secret strength or power or anything. It's just because his love for Jesus. When Peter gets out of the boat, this is in some ways a more wonderful thing than that he walks on water. Because if Jesus is there, like, yeah, sure, walk on water. That's no big deal. When the Lord of all creation, who made us and who made the water, commands the water to be walkable, it obeys. But Peter, from his own heart, by his own choice, decides to get out of the boat and stand on the water and walk toward the Lord. Now, it goes a little bit downhill from there. He sees how strong the wind is. He becomes frightened and he begins to sink. And so he cries out, "Lord, save me." And Jesus stretches out his hand and catches Peter and lifts him up out of the water. And who cares? Because St. Peter made it to Jesus. He falls into him. He's collapsing right there. He has to like cry out for mercy and help, but he made it. All the rest of the disciples are in the boat watching. But St. Peter made it to the Lord. From the boat, he said, "If that is Jesus, I will do anything to get to him right now." And so he gets out of the boat, and it's a mess, and he has nothing, he can't brag about it. He didn't do it neatly or perfectly, but he made it there. He leaves the little security of the boat to go into greater danger, and he meets Jesus not in some sort of safe place, but actually in a more dangerous place in the middle of the storm. This is the thing that I think about for myself and probably for you. I would not ask this question, and I wish I would. I hope, I want to, when I see where the Lord is, say, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And even if Jesus said, "Come," I don't know. I don't know if I would get out of the boat. I think actually sometimes what keeps me back is not whatever, will I be able to walk on the water? Will God enable me to do this? Mostly it's like, I'll probably sink on the way. So I shouldn't even take a step. Again, for St. Peter, that just doesn't matter because he made it. It's sort of like St. Peter says, I would rather drown in a mistake looking for the Lord than miss an opportunity and stand by when it might be him across the water. So this is like, all of this is to Peter's credit and not to his shame or failure. Yes, he doubted. Yes, he sunk in the water. He had to cry out for mercy. And we say, who cares? Because he's the only one that made it to Jesus, and the rest of them are in the boat. We can read this kind of critically of St. Peter, or thinking about, like, wondering, man, what if he hadn't? We wish he hadn't doubted. It had kind of neatly made it to him. But we can only say that if we're bystanders and spectators. What would be better is if we couldn't offer any kind of critique or criticism because our mouths are filled with water, because we got out of the boat and fell in. I'll go through storms and things, and it's this is like the bad news of this gospel. It's a real pain that Jesus does not come like in a ball of light from the sky to calm the storm. Instead, he's a kind of mysterious and terrifying figure in the depths of the storm, calling out from the water. We don't like that God comes to save us from within the storm. We want him to be outside of it. And then, the way of our salvation, we don't like that he doesn't just come into the boat and calm the storm, but that he calls us out onto the water, away from security, into greater danger, deeper into the storm rather than away from it. But Jesus, who is our life, like wherever he is, that is where we want to be. But he says to St. Peter and all the disciples, when he reveals himself, take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. What does that provoke in your heart when the Lord reveals himself? When first his presence is a cause of fear rather than consolation? Like, can we look at St. Peter and imitate him? I want to love Jesus like St. Peter, where it says, I don't care what it takes. Nothing will stop me. I will jump out of the boat and onto the water. Lord, just command me to come to you.